Hey guys, we're going to put this video on our how-to playlist just because we think it might be a useful one for people who are coming to Japan, either for a holiday or to stay a bit longer. Because it might be surprising to some people. Japanese people have a reputation for being extremely efficient in doing different things. So for example, we made a video previously about the Toyota car factory and about how efficient their production line is and how they're good at that production line system is. So there's a lot of examples of that. The other thing is good service. Japan's famous for good service. It's amazing. Walk into a restaurant and sit down and the staff straight to the table. When you're ready to order, you push the little button. Ping pong, or old style is sumimasen. Staff it straight to the table. Really, really fast. Some of you guys would have seen the gasoline station video we made where we drove into the gas station in the car and 3 or 4 staff straight onto the car. So that's all. Japan's famous for that, and it's all true. It's all true. Usually the service here is incredibly fast. And the first thing they say, they come roaring across the room and they say, "Masai tashimashita," it's sorry to keep you waiting. Which always makes people laugh when they first come to Japan, that the service is so incredibly fast and the staff are always apologising it for being too slow. It's just incredible. It's excellent. But having said all that, because of those things, because Japanese people do have a reputation for being efficient and because the service here is incredibly fast, often people are surprised at the amount of time that can be wasted in other things. So things perhaps that might be done in other countries in 5 minutes would not be unusual to take hours to do them here for different reasons. So we'll do some examples. Some of you might have seen we had a weddings in Japan playlist, and you know, it involved organising a wedding involved going to the wedding centre, what was it, 16 times or 18 times or something, to make all the decisions and to do all the organising, instead of it being done in 2 or 3 visits like it might be in another country. You know, one hour would be spent deciding on one particular decision, you know, which type of tablecloths to use, and then come back again next week and spend another hour deciding on something else. And there's a lot of that goes on. You know, going to a jewellery store here to buy jewellery, and you know, first you'll get taken to a little room and be sat down and given green tea and make polite conversation first. So if you come from another country, from a Japanese perspective, some things shouldn't be rushed, because if they're rushed it seems uncivilized. So, or it seems like bad service. So from a Japanese point of view, these things are done slowly because that makes the people feel as if it's been done properly. And so in a lot of countries, speed has become important to us because we don't want to feel like we're wasting time. And that's why we're making this video, because if you come from a country like that where people are really super aware of wasting time and come to Japan, there will be times where you'll have to control your frustration, because there'll be times where you will get frustrated because there'll be something that you know could be done in 5 minutes that you'll have to be sitting there patiently for 2 hours. Another example, buying a house. In a lot of countries, the banks will advertise, you know, we will approve your loan within 1 hour. You know, we will give you an answer on your loan within 1 hour. And, you know, you buy a house, you take your contract to the bank, you sit down with the loans person, and within an hour they either approve it or decline it. You know, a lot of banks are like that now, aren't they? And they'll advertise on TV and they'll say, you know, speedy service, answer within 1 hour. And it's all about how fast they can serve you and look after you and get you out the door again. And it's seen as really important, saving the customer's time and not wasting the customer's time. And they market that, don't they? Because they know that we like that. If we can go in and get an answer on our home loan within an hour, that makes us happy. In Japan, a home loan, it could take, if it's approved and it goes right through till the end of the process, it could mean half a dozen visits to the bank before you get it approved. Because what they'll do is in the first visit they'll take a certain amount of information and then they'll say, please come back next week and bring this information with you. and then you go back the next week, and then they'll go through and every time you've got to sit and drink green tea and make polite conversation, and so that, you know, just to do one small little task could take an hour and a half, because they'll faff around and drink green tea. And again, it's seen as polite, because in Western society, if we do business with somebody and we walk in and they go, right, let's get into it. Okay, first this, now this, now this. Okay, we've done, finished for today. Thank you very much for your time. Bang. We like it, don't we? Because it's got to the point, we're out the door. Whereas in Japanese society, that would be considered really rude. If the bank staff did that, it would be considered really rude. So the bank staff or the jewelry staff or the whatever it is, whoever it is, if they get straight to the point like that, it's considered to be rude. So first of all, they have to take you and sit you down and make some polite conversation about the weather and ask you if you'd like some tea, and then they go make you some green tea and come back and give you tea and make some more polite conversation, and eventually take out the piece of paper and, you know, spend an hour explaining it to you. And that's another thing. Things that sort of self-explanatory or really easy to understand, and they'll spend an hour explaining it or going through every point, you know. And again, we feel like, for people from another culture might feel like they're just wasting our time. But what they're actually doing is they're showing us that they're prepared to give their time to looking after us. So that's the way they see it. But in actual fact, that they're wasting their time and ours, aren't they? Yeah, the reality of it is, you know, even though it's a cultural thing, cultural difference, and in Japan it's considered appropriate, of course, it is a bit of a waste of time. So, and there's a lot of examples of this. We see it every day where people are wasting time. The electricity meter reader, the gas meter reader, and the water meter reader come to the house every month, once a month, and they're 3 different people, and 2 of them come on the same day. So once a month somebody comes and reads the water meter, someone comes and reads the gas meter, someone comes and reads the electricity meter, and then they put the information into their little machine, and then once a month the bill comes, you know. And again, a lot of countries, those utilities are billed quarterly, aren't they? Which means that instead of them coming 3 times in a quarter, in a 3-month period, they're only coming once. But in Japan, they come every month, you know. And there's a lot of things like that here that you look at and you think, you know, why are you doing that? You know, it wouldn't be unusual to see somebody working beside the road here with a whippersnipper cutting these weeds that are along the side of the road, those weeds there next to the road, and you know, if they cut them in the middle of summer, if they cut them with a whippersnipper, the plant's still alive. You come back a week later, the plant will be the same size again, because in summer everything grows so fast here, you know. So you look at it and you think, why don't they just hit that with some weed killer and kill it, and that'll be the end of it. But they don't. They cut it off. Look at this. Either side of the road here is like that. Just cut it off with a whippersnipper, and a week later it's the same length again. And the whippersnipper thing, quite common to see a group of guys here in a park, a big park, with whippersnippers cutting the grass. And on our Buying a House in Japan playlist, we showed you this. Lawnmowers are not real common here, and even city councils and so on will often cut the grass in a huge park with a team of guys with whippersnippers. You know, I don't know what you guys call them, brush cutters. You know, so by hand, you know, one guy with a mower, with a good sized mower, could do the whole thing in an hour and a half. But they'll have a team of guys there for 3 or 4 hours doing it with brush cutters. You know, and it seems to be that time management thing, that effective use of time thing that has become really common in most countries now, doesn't seem to have caught on here. It's sort of like there's a number of reasons for it, and if you live here, it is actually it's frustrating. It can be frustrating, but it's also quite easy to understand because of the way a lot of the society works here. If you propose a way of doing something that is easier, so I'll give you, there's a million examples coming to mind. One in particular was I was part of a Kudo group once, you know, the Japanese archery, and we were moving a whole heap of dirt because where you fire your arrows, there's an embankment that's built up that you fire your arrows into the targets in front of this dirt embankment. So we needed to move a bigger quantity of dirt from one place to another down a flight of stairs, and they were filling up bags of dirt and carrying them over their shoulder down to where they needed to go. And it was actually at a council park, and here was this dojo place, this Kudo dojo, and in one of the rooms nearby there was a wheelbarrow. And so I said to the teacher, there's a wheelbarrow in that storeroom over there. If you would like, I can run the wheelbarrow down beside these stairs and I can move wheelbarrow at a time, which would have been 4 or 5 times faster than carrying it in bags, you know. And so, you know, if you'd like me to do that. And he just no, it's okay, you know, we do it this way. And because every year they do it that way in the bags, and it's sort of seen like if there's something that's done a certain way and it takes a certain amount of time, if you suggest another way that takes less time, it's sort of like it's seen like you're lazy. And some of you might have seen the video we made on hardship and suffering, you know, and it sort of touches on that a little bit, that if you're trying to find an easier way to do something or a faster way to do something, but it's like you're cutting corners, or you're trying to make it easier for yourself, or you're being lazy, or you're not trying hard enough, or something like that. So suggesting a faster way to do something, suggesting how to save time or a faster way to do something is not considered to be such a good, generally, I mean, there's places like the Toyota Motor Company where they have suggestion boxes, and suggestions from staff on how to make the system more efficient are welcome, and they do listen, you know. But I'm talking about society in general, the way society works in general here, and generally suggesting an easier, faster, smoother, and places like city councils and these big utility companies, the bigger the company, the less likely it is, even small companies. You know, nobody wants to say to the person above them, to their boss, I think I know a quicker way to do this. I think I know an easier way to do this. I think I know a more efficient way to do this. No one wants to do that. And no company wants to be the first to say that to their customers either. You know, speaking to Japanese friends and family here about this topic, they get frustrated too sometimes at the amount of time they have to spend when they want to organise something. That the amount of faffing around there is with drinking green tea and filling out forms and things, you know, sometimes they get frustrated by that too. So it's possible that if you had a company here, a bank for example, that said, right, we think our customers' time is valuable, so we're going to, you know, approve your loan or give you an answer on your loan within an hour, chances are that bank could be really popular. But no staff member in that bank is brave enough to suggest that to their boss, and no bank boss is brave enough to try that technique, because they'd be too scared that the customers would think that they're not giving them enough attention, or that they're cutting corners, or not being, you know, there's a chance too that some customers would think that it can't be being done properly. You know, if they're processing that within an hour, then you know, all the other banks take, you know, 7 hours and 5 visits. You know, how can this bank do it in 1 hour? They must not be doing it properly. And there's a big element of that too. The customers see that to do it properly, you have to spend lots of time doing it. So the main reason for this video is just a heads up. If you come to Japan, if even for a holiday or for longer, just be prepared. If you find yourself in a situation where people seem to be faffing around and something that should take 5 minutes seems to be taking hours, you know, just be patient. There's nothing you can do about it. They won't get it if you tell them that you want them to do it faster, or you get frustrated. It won't achieve anything. You just have to accept it. So this is sort of a heads up. Quite often with these things, if you're aware of them before they happen, it makes it easier to deal with them when they happen. Because it's like, oh yeah, right. We call it faffing. We call it faffing because faffing's an old English word, not many people know it, and in Japan nobody would know it. But we use it as just as an identifier for ourselves quietly. You know, be prepared for some faffing. because we know that quite often places that we go here and things that we do here, we know we're just going to sit there for a couple of hours and drink green tea and have polite conversation just to fill out one form, you know, or 10 forms, 10 unnecessary forms. That's possible too, so it's just part of the process. So anyway, hopefully that's helped somebody in some small way to understand when they have to put up with some faffing. More videos coming soon.